I'm very, very happy to be here today for many reasons. And one of the things that resonated with me was when the host earlier on in his presentation asked in the room for, by indication of hands, how many builders are in the room. And I know that while a few hands went up, I imagine that there were a lot more individuals aspiring to build who have thought fleetingly of ideas and how those ideas can come to life. So again, I'd like to start by introducing myself in a way that resonates with everybody here, right? I remember my first ever job post-university, and by the way, I went to University of Ilorin. Give a hand to University of Ilorin. Sitting in front of the person who interviewed me, who in fact today happens to be the gentleman who is the group CEO of First Bank, Mr. Wale Oyedeji. I remember myself wearing my green suit, my orange shirt and my green tie that day. You know, I believe it was a tailor in Ilorin here who made that my suit that I went to Lagos with, you know, for my interview. And he looked at my resume and said, University of Ilorin Primary School, University of Ilorin Secondary School, University of Ilorin. I've never seen anything outside of Ilorin. And, you know, with that in the background, as I talk about that, I'm very excited to be here, right? As a proof to the fact that, as a validation of the fact that Ilorin truly produces fantastic and great products. And the testament is this product. This product in itself, in Kwara Build, we started 4 or 5 years ago, humble beginnings, but we are here today. And I'm very, very excited. It again validates the narrative I hear outside there from time to time. Because people ask me, why am I, or why are we building in Ilorin? Do you know what they even call Ilorin outside there in the ecosystem, in the tech startup space? They say we are a tier 2 city. Why are you building in a tier 2 city? Right? But you know what I say? I say because the best of talents in Nigeria are in this tier 2 city. And we will continue to build. And I look forward to a day when we will produce multiple unicorns out of people who started and who built from here. So thank you very much for the warm welcome again. And to get everybody excited, because I know that nothing excites people more than free money. Who likes free money? Who doesn't like, no wait, who doesn't like free money? Okay, good, good. I'm glad that there are no hands up. So I'm going to start to just get the energy up, right? By asking a multiple choice question, a jam question, right? And for the person who raises their hands and gets the question right, that individual will be getting a cash prize of 50,000 naira. You'll be walking away with a cash prize of 50,000 naira. So my first question to you guys is this. What do you imagine to be the common reason that people are denied access to traditional loans in Nigeria? And my options, the options are this. Is it low income, wrong BVN, no credit history? So I just want somebody to raise their hand. Let's see. All right. The gentleman in green. Fantastic. So what's your name? Ayodeji. You are the lucky winner of 50,000 naira this morning. So again, my name is Dayo Fabayo. I'm the founder and the first of the many CEOs that will come in Credlock and other organizations that we will spawn. Right? I say that carefully because I know that I am just the forebearer of a work, the first amongst many builders to come. I'm the founder of Credlock, and the story of Credlock started, of course, like I alluded to, from here in Ilorin. I'm happy to have with me one of my classmates from back in the day, Mr. Wemimo Loide. Where are you? Just, yeah, great. You know, and I choose to acknowledge him this morning because I remember that as young people back then, the options that we had for knowledge, for visualizing what our ideas were at that time, was the Kwara State Library, right? There were no malhubs at the time, no opportunities, no laptops at the time, no internet at the time. And what we had to do with was the Kwara State Library, the books at the Kwara State Library, where we, even in addition to reading those books, we had to photocopy books. I remember a friend of mine, Mr. Wale Adisa, who's also very active in here, after I had read all the Kwara State Library books, went to Lagos, he would photocopy books and bring them back. And that was our, so to speak, our view into what was possible. Now today, taking all that and growing in the knowledge of all that we put together, scrunched up together at the time, we evolved. And eventually I found myself relocating by reason of a job to the United States in 2003. And I remember that when I got to the United States in 2003, one of the first things that was clear to me, right? Just as it was clear to me when I first got to Lagos, I needed a job. The first thing, even before the issue of getting a job in the United States came up, was that I needed to build credit history. Why? I could not do anything without credit history. I could not get an apartment. I could not get a job because my credit needed to be pulled at that time for the kind of roles I was looking at. Remember, I was in banking, and at that time I was transitioning to banking, doing technology in banking though. And it was clear to me quickly that the credit history was very, very important for me. So I remember walking to Bank of America, my bank, which is still my bank today, and going to the gentleman and saying to him, what do I need to establish a credit history? And the guy said, well, you are not able to just get a credit history like that, right? But what you can do is that we will establish what we call a secure credit card for you. And I asked, Mister, what does that mean? He said, well, what you will do is to give us an amount, and then we'll in exchange give you a credit card. Okay, how much, sir, can I put up? And the man at that time said, well, if you give us $300 of your own earned money, of the money that you brought from Nigeria, the money that you changed and you brought from Nigeria, we'll give you a credit card. And so on that day, I walked out of Bank of America with a credit card, and what was called a secure credit card. And then I used that, paid back, used it, paid back. And then after about 4, 5, 6 months, I noticed that I started getting mails in my mailbox saying that I was qualified for XYZ. I was qualified for this credit card. I was qualified for this car loan. Nobody knew me. I didn't walk into any bank to ask for all those things. Those things followed naturally by my experience in first receiving a secure credit card and paying back as I went due. And what happened was that a doorway was opened. And since then, I went on to, of course, grow my credit history like every citizen, in that part of the world does, to the point where I was able to obtain a loan for my car, my first car, obtain a loan for my second car, obtain a mortgage for my first house, obtain a second mortgage for my second house, another mortgage for my third house, to the point where I was able to obtain business loan to start my first business, another loan to expand my business, and so on. So that singular experience of a secure credit card and my dedication and responsibility to paying it back opened up doors for me. I did not know anyone, and that's how that system is designed. So one thing I would say is I'm glad to tell you that tough as hard as things are in Nigeria, we're beginning to see a light. Things are going to begin to evolve. And my hope is that with these developments, the middle class will begin to emerge. But what is key for the middle class to emerge? Credit histories. Credit is very, very, very important. And I'll move on into my presentation. With that being said, can you? All right. So I'll move on with my presentation by defining the problem, right? How many people here, by show of hands, have received credit from a regular bank? I don't mean from a payout. From an Access or a GTB. Has anybody gotten credit? No. Yeah, maybe one or two. And what is the reason, right? Traditional banks, well, their branch networks have grown recently, especially with digital, right? In that you don't have to walk into a bank branch anymore, right? The requirements, you would agree with me, as the reasons why none of us here, can you imagine, in this room, not one hand, right, came up as having received a loan from a bank. So what are the banks there for? I mean, they are supposed to be the backbone of any economy. But for some reason, they have not been able to affect you and I in the area of consumer credit. And why is that? We list some of those things here. The strict requirements for credit, right? The lengthy process, and the fact that they can only cater, right now, they only cater to the formal sector for the most part. And I understand that that's easy. Anybody can lend to a Dangote, right? It's easy, it's known. Anybody can lend to a Mahub, for instance, now, because Mahub is known. But for Ayodeji, for Dayo, for Wemimo, for Lawrence, how many of these banks are catering to their real needs, which is consumer credit? And I say this, there's no day of my life, and this is the same for anybody that lives in the West, that you spend cash. Credit is just a natural process. You have a credit card, you just pay. Even if you are paying back your credit card at the end of the month, the utility, what you use on day-to-day basis, is really your credit card. So now I move on. What are the options that we have seen so far? We have seen the options that everybody perhaps is more familiar with. Now, if I ask, how many people here have used any of the loan apps that are out there? Fair Money, Rem Money, Cash, all those PalmPay. I'm sure, I don't want to embarrass anybody, but I'm sure every hand will go up. And why we're very thankful for those guys, because it's not easy. In an environment where we still have identity challenges, thank God for NIN, BVN, the progress that we have made versus our counterparts in other parts of Africa, right? Despite the fact and those challenges, people and companies like Fair Money, Cash have been able to come into the market as pioneers in this consumer lending space, right? But it's a challenge because the products that they offer, because of the nature of the market, puts lending and borrowing in a bad light for us as Africans. I'll be honest with you. When I talk about lending and in other parts of the world, which I have the opportunity to do, I'm very ashamed when I talk. I struggle to talk about the fact that we take loans at annualized rates of 300%. If you abstract your loan, whatever loan that you're taking from a loan app today, or if you held that money for over a year, right, you'll be paying, for the most part, interest rates that range between 200 and 300%. In many parts of the world, that's usury. But we need something, guys. At least we need something. Imagine life without Cash, without Fair Money, without Rem Money. There are people who truly need this, right? But the challenge has been our environment, the lack of infrastructure that has made lending at scale, at the consumer level, very, very difficult. So those are the problems that we see within the consumer credit space in Africa. Now, so walking out of that bank that day, where they gave me a secure credit card, where I secured with my own asset, I started thinking at that time, what kind of collateral? Because what I did was to give them $300 in collateral, really, right? That was what I did. And they gave me a credit card, and that allowed me to build a presence. That allowed the system to know me to the point where 15, 20 years later, I get offers in the mail without going or walking to any bank for loans for as much as $500,000 in business loans. If I check my mail today, right, I bet you in the last 1 week, somebody has sent me an offer for a loan for $200,000 at less less. That's 7% per annum. 7% per annum. Why? Is it because I'm the son of somebody? No. Is it because I'm connected to anybody? No. It's because I started with $300, used responsibly, got to a point where I was trustworthy. I was known within the system as someone who, if we borrow money, would pay back. Now, we started looking and started thinking about the fact that what is that one asset that everybody has that can give people a chance, right? Because if you go to all my colleagues, and when I say colleagues in Fair Money and all those people who have loan apps, right? The reason why they say that loans, you have to pay what we pay, you have to pay what we say you should pay, is because, like Ayodeji said, no credit history, no collateral. And I, even as a individual that has built businesses and I still operate in Nigeria, I still encounter those challenges on a day-to-day basis. High net worth individuals in Nigeria still borrow money at 5% per month. Right? When I say high net worth individual, in Dangote, for instance, the reality is that if he needs a consumer loan, other than the fact that he's built reputation over time, on the average, a good interest rate is 5% per month. Really. So, that being said, we started looking and thinking at that time, what is that one thing that everybody holds? What's that one thing that Africans, in the absence of $300, that they have, that they can put down as collateral for credit? And as we began to think about this, we thought that perhaps maybe something was in that mobile economy, that space that we could leverage. So a few years ago, myself and my colleague Rina and Michael here, we started a company at the time. Fair Shop was the name of the company. And while Fair Shop is something, a different business model, which at that time essentially was about digitizing the used mobile phone space, where we would procure phones, refurbish, and resell at the time, because Nigeria's all of a sudden have become a massive market for used phones. Our market is perhaps the biggest in Africa for used phones, right? And as we did that, there were certain signals that began to emerge. Why is the used phone market this big? Right? How many people know how much, in terms of the value of new phones that are sold in Africa every year? Over $50 billion. Now, people estimate that the used phone market is bigger. What drives that market? Now, many things drive that market, but one thing that stood out to us was this. There were people in our experience who sold their phone, and you may know one or two, based on the fact that they needed 5,000 or 10,000 naira to get out of a jam. Can anybody relate to that, or know somebody who can relate to that? Last mile problem. Where's the money? You've called a family member 10, 15 times. The person is no longer calling answering your call, right? What do? The only thing that you have is perhaps your phone. Well, if you are lucky, you can give somebody that phone and say, okay, you know what, but bros, take this phone and give me small cash, I'll return it. We realized that one of the primary drivers for people selling their phones really was the need for urgent and quick cash. Why should that be? A phone goes beyond just being able to use it as cash. It means a lot. Even if I don't have money, I'm looking for somebody to dash me money or give me money, right? How will I know that the person has credited my account? Is it not by the alert I get on my phone? Right? So that phone is critical and is a valuable asset. So we started thinking, in the absence of $300 to give to a bank, is there a way that we can lower the cost of credit by making the smartphone collateral for small credit? Because think about it. A lot of times you find people selling their phones for as little as 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, emergency funds. What is one thing that people have that has liquid value or near liquid value? And that is a mobile phone. Think about it, as you can see on my slide. 527 unique mobile subscribers in Africa, 51% smartphone penetration across Africa, an average device value is about 120,000 naira. Even in Nigeria, the numbers are a little bit more, right? The numbers are a little bit more in Nigeria, right? In that we have 60%. We've been doing well with smartphone penetration. We're at 60% smartphone penetration today. So what that means is that you all lift up your phones if you can, please. Just lift up your own phones. Means you guys might not have 1 naira in your pockets right now, but guess what? You're holding 120,000 naira in your hands. Is there a way that we can get financial service providers to consider and look at this asset as a way of at least extending affordable, dignifying credit at scale for people? And that is why we embarked on this journey at Credlock. And today, again, highlighting the problems that we saw in our participation in that ecosystem by virtue of our experience at Fair Shop, right? That 500 million users still lack structured credit. Daily liquidity gaps. People have needs for 5K, 10K, up to 50K. We realized, in fact, in our research, that a lot more people need 10,000 naira than a lot more people need 50,000 naira at any point in time. You know, so smartphones as collateral became something we obsessed over the last 3 years. Now, why people see Credlock or know Credlock, because we became operational about 18 months ago, and since then we've done well. And I like to believe so. In that, in our test, in our POC, in our putting ourselves out there, we've deployed over 1.5 billion in loans right now, across 15,000 loans, across 15,000 individual loans, and we are growing and now diversifying to allow individuals to access this opportunity a lot more. Now, what is core about what we did? You know, one of the things that allowed us to do what we did, what we have done and what we continue to do, is the advent of AI. We believe that we're one of the first few companies in Africa, right, that have been able to find utility that translates into everyday living, right, for individuals. And I'll get into that in a moment. So we employ AI as AI is an opportunity, right? And then what that means is that we are able to provide instant access, flexible repayment, longer tenors, high adoption and retention for responsible borrowers. And I'm not saying that there are people out there who are not responsible, but we cannot say, okay, you know, everybody pay 45%. Everybody, yeah, and I'll tell you, there are people who resort to payday loans in the Western world. There are people who have had the opportunity that I had with a secure credit card, $300, right, who messed it up and have a poor credit history, and as such have to go to predatory lenders, right, in states. For instance, in the United States where I live in, it's illegal in some states. It's illegal in some states, it's legal in some states, who have to resort to that as their source of cash, right? And so, what is our solution? So our solution is not another phone app. It's not another loan app. Yes, we deliver what we deliver via technology, which is in the form of an app, but it's not another loan app. What we'll do, in essence, is we are building a trust layer. A trust layer. Like I was able to take advantage of the trust layer of secure credit, we believe that we can also build a trust layer by allowing people to use what they have, right? What they have as their entry point into dignifying credit, into affordable credit. And how does this work? I'm happy to officially state that this morning we are officially launching our product called Phone Flex, right? And please put our hands together. Let's put our hands together for that. Right. And what is Phone Flex? Phone Flex is a product. It's really a line of credit that is based on your smartphone value, right? As a company, we're obsessed with what people call the bottom tier of the market, right? While the banks are solved for the white collar people, while the banks are solved for the corporations, we believe we have a responsibility to solve for people, for the regular folk, for the guy just starting out, the Dio that just came to the US, the gentleman that's just coming out of University of Ilorin, the artisan on the street, right? The plumber, the young tech entrepreneur who is okay with just a line of credit of 40, 50,000 in their pocket. That's what we are solving for, right? We could just as well have decided that, okay, well, taking the easy route and built another loan app. Because the truth is, we know 5 or 6, there will still be hundreds of loan apps that will come. Because the opportunity in Africa is massive for credit. And there will be people who look to take advantage. But we chose to take a different look, fresh look at this. What are we doing? And this is what drives my team every day. What can we do to ensure that credit is cheap, is affordable for the regular guy? And one of that, that iterative thinking is what led to PhoneFlex, which essentially is a line of credit that we've built, that we create, that we make available to our customers, right? That is based on your smartphone value. You only pay what you use, right? You pay what you use. You enjoy low and transparent interest rates. Nothing worked into it. What you see is what you get, right? You build your credit score as you repay. And because it's associated with your mobile phone, it's available to you for life, for the lifetime of that phone. So imagine you have a line of credit. You don't have to keep reapplying. Based on your responsible use, it grows. Your interest comes down. Your line of credit grows over time, associated with a line with your mobile device, the value of your mobile device. Ultimately, the plan is to introduce for the first time in Nigeria a credit card that is linked or backed by your smartphone, which will be the first true credit card in its sense. Just as my credit card at that time was backed by my $300, right? What we're looking to do is to back your first credit card with the value of your mobile phone. As simple as that. I'm proud to announce that PhoneFlex is now publicly available, right? Starting from here in Kwara. And I'll say that, currently we operate across 33 states, with our initial product, which was device financing. We have merchants, we have about 1,500 merchants across 33 states that support our product. But even that story started with Ilorin, it started with Kwara. Again, PhoneFlex, I'm proud to say, the story and the journey of PhoneFlex starts here in Ilorin, Kwara State. So I'll just tell you why PhoneFlex, right? So this week, we just did a quick test, just for you to see the impact, right? And I'm thankful, I'm not bashing, I'm thankful for all the companies that provide consumer credit out there. Without them, I'm sure there are people that would have lost their lives. I'm sure there are people who, by the intervention of a Palm Pay loan or a OPay loan, right, were able to pay a hospital bill that saved their life. So this is not about, it's about taking it to the next level. So today, we looked at the cost, for instance, of a 50,000 naira loan this week, right, for a first-time individual looking to obtain a loan. And we saw that, for every 50,000 naira that you borrow today from any of these providers, this is how much you pay, right? So for easy money, you pay 673 naira for every 1,000 you borrow. For Flexi, you pay 828 naira for every 1,000 you borrow. For Fair Money, you pay 1,350, just based on real data, based on a loan application that was done this week, right? And so what the effective monthly rate in this circumstance for all these loans that were taken was 22% a month for easy money. And for context, right, I have a line of credit. I pay 0.05% on my line of credit, from a regular bank in where my family is, because I currently am between here and our offices in the United States, right? Flexi, 27.6%. Fair Money in this instance, although a lot of them talk about the fact that their rates range from low single digits to perhaps this high rate, but in our experience, when we tried out all these loan apps in this week, these were the effective rates. And I understand, because these loans are not collateralized. The reason why they'll tell you, if you went to their office and asked, okay, why are you charging me 45% now? They'll tell you, madam, it's because you don't have collateral. Can anybody relate to that? That's the reason. That's the primary reason. You don't have a credit history, you don't have collateral, right? And so With Credlock, right, it's different. Now, because we've been able to figure out a way, based on the rules and the laws of Nigeria that require certain things as a financial institution in Nigeria, right, we're able to use your smartphone as collateral for the first time and allow individuals for now, right, to, for every 1,000 naira they borrow, it's 260 naira that you pay. Effective rate for the first time in reality is single digit, which is 7%, right? That's what we've been able to do. And that's not what is important, guys. What is important is this: the fact that we've been able to put a stake in the ground, right, for other people to follow in this war against high interest rates, in this battle, let me rephrase, in this battle to make access to credit affordable and accessible. This is the first stake in the ground. We do not imagine that we will be the only one. There are many to come. I imagine that there are many builders also in here that will come after us. But what we have been able to do is bring down the cost through the ability to use your smartphone as collateral. So if every phone, imagine this, if every phone is able to be leveraged as collateral, what it means is that you are ready, you are credit ready, you are ready to receive, to be recognized in the system, you are ready for financial inclusion. And for Africans, what does that mean? It means that on an ongoing basis, without having to run helter-skelter, right, you can access money to meet daily cash gaps. You know, micro businesses can take advantage of a device collateralized loan, of a smartphone-backed loan. Cheaper interest rate with smartphone as collateral. You can build digital credit, and that is big, right? One of the things that we do on our platforms is to educate our users. So for even our users who download and use our product, you are actually constantly being educated on good credit practices. Now, for financial institutions, and that's one of the things that is big about our business, right? You're able to lower credit risk because we don't necessarily have the money. It's not like we have money that we borrow. Every financial institution leverages debt, right? So even your UBA, your GTB, your bank, when they borrow money, it's not because somebody puts money down there. It's because they were able to access credit. They were able to access your deposits, which a lot of time is more or less 0%, and then they lend it out and make a spread, right? So what we are saying is that to financial institutions is that we can make your risk lower through devices, through smartphones, so that you can lend at scale in a manner that is secure. That is the advocacy that we are continuing. We are happy to announce that a number of banks have joined us and are putting themselves out there to support lower interest rates because of the fact that now Credlock is able to de-risk those loans with smartphones, right? We can de-risk those loans with smartphones and allow those banks to do millions of loans cheaper, make it accessible for people. We are proud to lead that charge. So at this point in time, I'll invite Winner, my co-founder and CTO, to just run through a brief demo of how the Credlock app works. And please note, as it does so, one of the key things that's most innovative about what we've done with PhoneFlex is our ability to leverage AI to value smartphones. Because what we did essentially was abstract what it takes into identifying and valuing a phone and leveraging AI to do that for us. And thank you very much, Winner. And I'll let you just go ahead and ask the second jam question. So but for me to go ahead and ask the second jam question, I have to see some excitement, please. I have to see some energy. Give me some energy, guys. Come on. Yeah. Give me some energy, guys. Thank you very much. And so the second question I have here, right, I'm looking for the person that will join Ayodeji in taking home 50,000 naira today, is what percentage of Nigerians have no formal credit score? And my options are 95%, 80%, 60%. 95%. Are you sure? Okay, all right. She got it right. So give her a hand, give her applause. So that's our lucky winner for our second tranche of 50,000 tonight. Are you guys ready? Are we ready?
So, and you search for Credlock. All right, so Credlock's app is the first one you see here. Just download it. All right, then you click on the Get Started button. So you just enter your NIN so that we can verify your identity, right? So that no one else can take loan on your behalf. That's why we do that. After doing that, we are going to send you an OTP to confirm your phone number. So just enter the OTP and click on continue. All right. So the next step is to set up your 4-digit PIN. Okay, cool. So the last step is to verify your email address. Once you enter your email, we are going to send you an OTP. Then you have to confirm it, and that's the final step of everything you need to do on our app. Right. So that has been completed. On our app, you see list of enrollment centers where you can take your phone to, and they would enroll it on Credlock. The process of enrolling your phone on Credlock gives us the ability to evaluate your device using our AI technology to confirm how much your device is worth, and that will enable us to know how much credit to extend to you. So this is just a quick demo of how the enrollment software works. So you can also see our enrollment centers on our website, credlockng.com. All right, so this phone is currently being enrolled. So we are going to access the device condition, the storage, and check other information about the device. So we've established that this device is worth 98,700 naira. So this particular user now has up to 26,000 naira that is withdrawable. So that's it. Very simple. Doesn't take more than 10 minutes. All right. Thank you very much. So please, you can check the Play Store for our Credlock app. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mina. So I'd like to conclude, right, by emphasizing and the fact that our goal, our desire is to democratize credit, make it accessible, make it affordable, and eliminate the excuses currently in the market for why credit is expensive, and grow the ecosystem and empower people. Thank you very much for taking your time to listen to our presentation. And I just want to charge you as builders, let's keep building. Let's build with a chip on our shoulder. We are in a great ecosystem here in Kwara State, in Ilori. I benefited from that, in terms of the fantastic ecosystem of tech bros, in Kwara. And as I said, let's build with a chip on our shoulder. We have a lot to show the world. Thank you very much.